Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition, a very special edition of Tuesday Night Madness live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It's your girl MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, then great. If he doesn't, then we'll possibly see him tomorrow night for the traditional football feast. That will be on 10:30 on the Tone 25. Before we start tonight's action, um, as the executive producer of Talking Wrestling TXN, I feel like I need to come out here and talk about something that has come up in the last couple of weeks that needed to be addressed in the room. And it has to pertain to AEW and what we're going to be doing with AEW for the foreseeable near future. So, as you know, last week I was not on the show because of work commitments beyond my control. So Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock took over. They reviewed AEW as always, and everything seemed fine. However, due to the light of some very negative press coming from the AEW community, and there was no personal attacks at us or attacks on myself, Anthony Florio, Michael Bullock. No. But there were a lot of people outside of the company that did attack AEW and basically called it one of the worst AEW shows of the year. As a matter of fact, the worst AEW show of all time is what they were labeling it as. With numerous rants ranging from Derek Ferreira, from JD from NY, and other outlets that is very that we lean on towards AEW, from What Culture and from Wrestle Talk News, who are some of the most well-renowned companies in the world. And it was abundantly clear that AEW had hit a sour patch with the entire IWC, YWC, and with the entire wrestling community. For weeks, behind the scenes, there were rants that was being made by mainly Derek Ferreira, the leader of the Wrestling Forum, but more importantly, Michael Bullock had voiced his displeasure covering AEW programming and thought that we should boycott AEW. Now, I was giving it a chance, telling the guys, no, let's hold on, give AEW an opportunity. After last week's Dynamite, it was abundantly clear that AEW had gone off the tracks. And for the viewership, for the rightness of the company, and the rightness of ourselves, I thought that at that moment, at that time, it was time for us to go a different direction. Effective immediately, retroactive of Thursday, we will no longer cover AEW for the remainder of the year. AEW will not be covered on this program from now until possibly January of 2025. We will do this on a limited basis because we don't know what that's going to look like. If the shows continue to be as lackluster, as not so great, then we will continue the ban through 2025 and beyond. We strive ourselves for greatness, and AEW has not lived up to those standards, and thus, as a community, I encourage every reporter, every podcaster, and everybody who has a common sense to not do anything related with All Elite Wrestling. That is the statement from me, and I will leave it there. I thank Anthony Floria and Michael Bullock for their due diligence, because I know they would like to put in their 2 cents about it, but I asked them privately not to interrupt me while I made this formal announcement. We will continue with NXT, with Monday Night Raw, and with SmackDown Live, and any other wrestling organization we will work with. If that's RWA, if that is Fight Life, if that is New Japan, and TNA that Anthony does with his Tony's Takes, we will continue to provide the utmost and top-notch analysis of those companies. Now, if AEW does turn it around and their programming do get better, then we will bring back AEW. However, until then, we will not be covering AEW for the remainder of the year. I think this was the best decision en route to do, and I think this was the necessary decision that was made. Now, I must admit, even though I was hearing the voices from Florio, but mainly Michael Bullock, that this decision was ultimately my decision. I'm the one that made the call. I informed the gentleman of my decision beforehand, before I came out here tonight. This was done on Friday, that I was going to make this decree. This is official, and it's now being effective. So, with that said, we will cover NXT here tonight. We will also be previewing the Survivor Series that will be going down on Saturday. And then we will give you the future content of when you will see a new look Cerebral Smack Talk that will now feature NXT and SmackDown together. That means that Wednesday Night Madness will be put on hold and will go on hiatus for the foreseeable future. For how long? I don't know. But what we will do is we will continue to bring you the utmost top-level professional wrestling analysis like we have done for years. Even when we were a part of the wrestling forum, we always did it this way. Now, this is the first time we've ever boycotted a wrestling organization. We have threatened once before to boycott shows, either Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, but we've never done it in this level, at this scope. But we feel like this is the right decision to do. And this is something that was thought about for a little while, but now it came abundantly clear that this had to be the decision. All right. So with that said, we're going to start it off with NXT. And it was, once again, from Full Sail or from the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando. And here we go. We started this off with, so we started off with All Ego Ethan Page versus Axiom, Iron Survivor, and the winner of the bout in 16 minutes, 45 seconds, and earning their spot at the Iron Survivor at NXT Deadline was All Ego Ethan Page. Really good match. Excellent qualifying battle. This was, without a doubt, one of the better ones we've had in a long time. I really got nothing bad to say. This was 3.5 to 4 stars. This was an excellent matchup. You could even make an argument that this could be Fight of the Night worthy. That's how good this match was. Anthony Florio, it is all yours, as All Ego Ethan Page wins in 16:45 to punch his ticket into Iron Survivor at NXT Deadline.
I'll go as far, well, I'll tell you, MF, I'll go as far as to call this the Fight of the Night. Two of the best wrestlers in NXT fought for the first time and delivered as expected. This was an exciting match that was consistently smooth. Both men looked like main roster talents throughout. Ethan Page really did not need this win, but it certainly confirms that he will remain a main event talent, even if Trick Williams is out of his sights. The field for the Iron Survivor Challenge is interesting so far, but heavily favors Wes Lee as the fresh heel still looking for an opportunity at Trick. And then after the match was over, there was some verbal exchanges, and then the tag team division funneled out to remind the champions that everybody wanted a shot before another brawl started. And then the brawl continued in the parking lot. Officials intervened after a car had been destroyed with multiple men thrown through windows. The brawl continued inside, and Ava finally had enough. She made a big announcement about it regarding next week. And with all due respect, I'm going to hold off on it until the appropriate time. So, because I'm sure it's going to come up at some point during this. So, very exciting announcement, to say the very least, about what's going to happen with that next week. So, for me, I'm going to give this in excess of 4 to 4.25 stars, and I will certainly make an argument for Fight of the Night honors. So, excellent. That's one of the best openers we've seen in a long time. So, very well done. So, outcome not in doubt. I had a feeling Ethan was going to win. So, would have been interesting if Axiom had won. Oh, that would have been interesting. But
because of the fact that, if you already know, Nathan Frazier has already qualified for Iron Survivor. He's already through.
Positively.
So what would have that been? What would that be like if both men actually made it? And I mean, that would have been very interesting. How does Axiom and Nathan Frazier try to coexist at that? Because remember, the winner of that match gets a guaranteed shot at the title
at New Year's Evil. So, yeah. Well, let's just say Ava made another announcement.
Oh yeah,
regarding this. Yep, that's why I'm holding off on the tag team one too. So,
yep.
But anyways, 4 to 4.25, Fight of the Night. So. There's nothing more to say except MF. Let's move on to our next match.
All right. I'm going to leave this up to you if you want to talk about it or not, Anthony. It's totally your call. It is Lola Vice versus Red Sinclair. Lola Vice does win the match in 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Well, based on what I have here, no. I'm going to keep it short and sweet when I say these two women have impressed in moments in NXT, but this was not the best outing for either competitor. And in particular, Ren Sinclair was in heavy control, yet did not execute her offense well. She relied on a series of flat offensive maneuvers to target the arm over her usual moves. It would have worked better for Lola to simply dominate rather than escape with the win. And she certainly needed to win. So, if I had to put a rating on it, I would have given it in excess of 1.5 to 2.
Okay.
But what happened after the match, though? Lola said it. She looked right at that camera, and she laid out the challenge. Jada Parker, underground. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So it's a 1.5 to 2. I'll go as far as to call it the worst fight of the night, honestly. So, but for me, MF, the most important, the only noteworthy, newsworthy thing that came out of this was Lola calling out Jada Parker and challenging her to an NXT Underground match. Yowza.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but yeah, this is going to be very interesting to say the very least. So, yeah, we'll see how this plays out. This is going to be a very interesting look more than anything else. So, I could give this about 1 star. I think it was a little bit of a disappointment. I think it could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not going to be too mad about it. I think they did fine for what it was worth. So we just move on to the next match, which was Tony D'Angelo versus Shawn Spears for the North American Championship. And Tony D'Angelo winning the match in 8 minutes and 34 seconds. A solid match, a good fight. About 2.5 to 3 would be the appropriate rating for the match. And it could have been better in certain elements, but the outcome was never in doubt. The right man won, which was Tony D'Angelo. And we just got to wait and see how it goes off, because it looks like Shawn Spears' protege, Brooks Jensen, maybe could be the next man in line for the title. You don't know, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, Shawn Spears out of the picture now. Tony D'Angelo continues his reign, and Anthony Florio, everything's good with the family, as they say.
For now, it is, yes. 2.5 to 2.75 of a star. This was not the most exciting match to watch. The Don did a great job selling his knee, becoming a bigger issue throughout. However, Shawn Spears never pushed the pace, so the finish came out of nowhere. There was no point that the chairman came off as a real threat to win the title. Perhaps the two are holding back for a rematch, but the expectations for this rivalry are low based on early results. And backstage, the Don told Adriana Rizzo that the rest of the family was busy with business and would not come out for this match. Luca Crucifino and Channing Stacks Lorenzo were a part of that tag team chaos. So that's really all there is to say there. So 2.5, 2.75 of a star. So there isn't anything else left to say except we move on to a highly anticipated women's Iron Survivor qualifier match.
Without a doubt, this one's the big one. It was Julia going one-on-one with Kalani Jordan. Julia wins the match, 12 minutes and 30 seconds. She is going to the Iron Survivor match at Deadline. Whoa. Okay. We got some powerhouses now in this one. Stephanie Valcourt punched her ticket in a couple of weeks ago. Julia is through, and I do believe Zarya also got through.
Yes.
Delta Brady, she's got through. Those are the big 3 of the biggest names. These were the 3 big signings, and now they're all going to be a part of Iron Survivor. You want to talk about blockbuster? Maybe fight of the night worthy? This may be it. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
And let's also not forget Sol Ruka is in that match as well. So, but anywho, 3.5 stars. These two wrestled this like a main event struggle, getting scrappier than the typical Kalani Jordan match. It was nice to see Kalani Jordan show a different side of her work in a unique matchup. In fact, for stretches, Kalani Jordan leaned heel a little bit, even delivering a glare to Julia post-match. This could be a tease that goes nowhere, but it could also set up an interesting test for the former champion in a fresh role. Kalani Jordan is the most likely woman to win the we'll get into the announcement in a minute. If she were to lose on top of failing to recapture the Women's North American Championship, she might turn on the newcomers to NXT. Julia remains one of NXT's best signings and should be, I'm not going to say the favorite, but one of the favorites to win the Iron Survivor Challenge, though that feat is much more competitive with so many fresh opponents for the NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. A show of respect broke down quickly with both looking for a quick win, and Roxanne Perez watched closely backstage. 3.5 stars, and excellent match. Outcome again, the outcome not in doubt. We all knew Julia was going to win this. I certainly knew Julia was going to win it, and man, I feel for Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca has to deal with the big three, the three-headed monster of signings. You got to deal with Stephanie Vacour, Zarya, and now Julia. Oh, Sol Ruca. Oh,
I think Sol could handle herself in this match. Because remember, when they were doing that NXT Combine, you remember Sol Ruca was the #1 talent.
That's right.
Of the women. So she may be good enough not to win the whole thing, but she might get a couple of decisions here where she could score a pin or two on one of these women, especially in Iron Survivor. So I won't say that she will win it, but I think we might have a breakout performance by Sol Ruca. This might be the thing that might have her literally break out more than anything else.
Well, it's very possible. So we'll but to me, Sol is the long shot. She's the long shot.
Oh yeah, she's definitely the underdog. Right now, if you want my honest opinion about who I think's gonna win Iron Survivor right now, I got Stephanie Vacour. I got Stephanie winning it all. Yes. I think she's gonna be the next in line. Now, would I be mad if Julia wins it all? No. Would I be mad if Zarya wins it all? No. I think any one of these three would be worthy of the opportunity. Hell, if Sol Ruca pulls the miracle win, I'd be happy if she gets the shot at the title. Definitely. Because she definitely would be worthy of getting the shot at the goal.
And you can make an argument for any of them. But yes, because Stephanie Vacour, I believe, didn't she pin Roxanne Perez in that tag team match at the last event?
She did, yes. And she's never gotten a title shot yet.
Yeah, Julia did. Julia already had her shot, and that was on the premiere edition of the first NXT on CW, that awesome show in Chicago. So
yeah.
So we'll I think maybe we could rule Julia out. Right now, it's between Stephanie Vacour and Zarya. Those are the two that I'm thinking about. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens come December the 7th. So, but for right now, what I do know is this was a 3.5 star match, and it definitely lived up to the hype. So with all that being said, MF, I believe we have some Ava announcements we need to relay here.
Yeah. Okay. So couple of notes that need to be addressed. One, she rallied up all of the losers from the Iron Survivor qualifying matches. She did announce that next week there will be last chance matches. So the loser,
one last chance match for all four runners up.
Yes. So that means I think it's one man and one woman actually gets the opportunity, if I remember correctly.
Yes. On the men's side, it's going to be Eddie Thorpe, Lexus King, Cedric Alexander, and I can't quite remember who the other one was, but the three of them and the other guy. And on the women's side, it's going to be Kalani Jordan, Cora Jade, Ren Sinclair, and Jada Parker. So those are the four on the women's side. I can't quite remember who the last one on the guys' side was.
So after that, obviously, she brought in Axiom and Nathan Frazier and let them know, hey, with all of the craziness that's been happening with the tag team division, we're going to do a tag team battle royale. The winners of that match will get to face you guys at Deadline.
Double duty.
Then Eddie Thorpe wanted to talk to Ava about some certain things. She didn't want to listen. He grabs her. She's like, get your hands off me. And the next thing you know, a door smacks right at Ava. And she went down. Now, the rumor going around is that it was Hank Ledger that actually bodied the doorway and she got dumped. In storyline, they're making it look like it was Eddie Thorpe who did it. Eddie had nothing to do with this. Unfortunately, Eddie is innocent. Wrong place, wrong time. Even Shawn Michaels got pissed at Eddie Thorpe and tossed him out. And this is one of those cases where Eddie was trying to explain himself and Ava wasn't listening. I don't know, Anthony. I mean, unfortunate moment for Eddie because now it makes him look worse in this situation because you just assaulted a WWE official.
The general manager, no less. And
yeah,
they are definitely planting the seeds for an Eddie Thorpe heel turn. They are. I mean, it was all about the frustration of he was upset at Ava saying, well, I was the victim of outside interference in my match, and now I got to face three other guys. And he wasn't having it. And yeah, I saw the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, Ava was upset and Shawn Michaels getting into his face and throwing him out. I mean, yeah, social media definitely up in arms about this. And, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out going in the next week's show. But yeah, loaded show next week. We got these last chance Iron Survivor qualifiers for the men and the women, tag team battle royale, and the winner of that is gonna square off against Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the tag titles at Deadline. So Nathan Frazier will be pulling double duty. Does that mean could Axiom be pulling double duty also? Because if Axiom wins that qualifier match, that last chance match, he and Nathan Frazier are going to pull double duty. And we've seen in the past, it's not often it happens, but we've seen instances where wrestlers have worked double duty. Case in point, Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 30, the greatest double duty performance ever. Nothing even came remotely close to that. Maybe the exception of Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10, but Bryan Danielson at 30, the greatest double duty performance that you'll ever see. Go out of your way to watch it if you haven't already. So, but anywho, very unfortunate about the Ava situation and Eddie Thorpe. A lot of people are calling for Ava's father. A lot of people were saying, and the next promo, briefly mentioned that. Watch out, Eddie Thorpe, because you thought Shawn Michaels was bad. God forbid if you end up having to deal with a certain final boss. Goodbye.
Oh no!
Goodbye. He gone. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's just something I came across on social media. So
yeah.
So a lot of comments calling for that certain final boss. So But let's wait and see what happens next week. I'm sure it's gonna be addressed. So maybe there'll be
I'll
some
say
sort of a
this,
summit.
if that final boss shows up on Tuesday night on NXT, the ratings are gonna go through the roof. It's gonna be a meltdown for NXT. They're gonna have record ratings.
As if they haven't had enough record ratings.
They've done pretty well. They've done very well on C-Dub. I must admit.
Absolutely. So we shall wait and see. So there isn't anything else left to say except that we got some more newsworthy, another newsworthy announcement coming out of this next promo segment. At first, I felt it was a little unnecessary, but after the way it played out, I changed my tune on that.
Yeah, it was Trick Williams cutting a promo, and obviously he got into some stuff, talked about Rich Holland the whole 9 yards, and then Rich Holland made his entrance, noted about controversy and everything else, and how controversy follows him. The next thing we know, we got a bomb. Eric Bischoff was on the little Titantron for NXT and says next week he's gonna get a little closer about everything that's going on. And guys, he's back and better than ever. Eric Bischoff, Easy E, Sleazy E, whatever you want to call him, is going to be on NXT. Anthony Florio, oh my God, are you kidding me?
The greatest general manager in the history of Raw. I mean, Anna Pierce is definitely making a run for that, no doubt. Anna Pierce is currently the second greatest, but right now, for my money, Eric Bischoff, the greatest general manager in the history of Monday Night Raw, and that's one of the many reasons why I'm the Raw guy that I am and still am to this day, 22 years later. But anyways, interesting escalation tactic for Trick versus Holland after already sacrificing Chase U to get Holland over. Now, we all know Eric Bischoff is a man that causes controversy. We all know that infamous book that he wrote a number of years ago, Controversy Creates Cash.
Mm-hmm.
And from a personal standpoint, I'm excited about it because you remember when Eric Bischoff became the general manager of Monday Night Raw, MF, we didn't just have fun watching Raw almost every week. We had big fun.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing.
I mean, we ate. He cooked and we ate. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy, did we eat. all those legendary Raw chats we used to have back in the day. But
yeah. In a way, I kind of miss it, but but nowadays it's because of my work schedule. It just doesn't allow me to do any of those stuff like I used to.
But thankfully, Michael Bullock and myself started that new tradition. So, but anyways, from a professional standpoint, this is a difficult situation to rate through, as it will all come down the next week. Can Eric Bischoff add more stakes to a personal title match, or will he be a distraction from a clear story? It could go either way, but is certainly a greater gamble than just letting Trick and Holland tell their story over the next week. But let's just say Eric Bischoff's not coming alone. Another Hall of Famer, another legend, is going to also be in the house next week. And someone who knows Shawn Michaels very, very well. A member of The Click, none other Then Sean Waltman, X-Pac, 123 Kid. He's coming to the PC next week. So we got Eric Bischoff and X-Pac. Now I don't think they're gonna tie into each other, but still, Eric Bischoff and X-Pac? Yahoo. Oh
Yeah.
man. Whoa. He tweeted, "Hey, that's Shawn Michaels. Next week's NXT show looks too good to miss. I'm coming to Orlando to watch it live." That he said on X. So, oh man, you want to talk about a go-home show? Wow. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
This has to be maybe the most loaded go-home show for an NXT I can ever recall. So,
Last chance Iron Survivor matches on both the men and the women. A number one contenders tag team battle royale. Eric Bischoff will be in the house. X-Pac will be in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a loaded NXT show, no doubt in my mind.
Whew. We're gonna eat next week, MF. Oh,
yeah?
we're gonna eat. And I'm here, and we're all here for it. So
Absolutely.
It's almost like a mini pay-per-view, for goodness sakes. So it has that kind of a
could you say this is maybe takeover worthy?
In a way?
In a way?
To a certain extent, yes. For the most part, yes.
Okay.
It does kind of have that feel.
Okay, good.
I
was hoping for a yes there, because that's why I was kind of feeling like that maybe this has a feel of like a possible takeover event.
On free television, no less.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On the CW.
All right. Main event: Fallon Henley versus Tatum Paxley for the women's North American title. The winner of the bout, 10 minutes and 55 seconds, and still the women's North American champion, Fallon Henley. But after the match was over, yes, they try to do a 3-1 beatdown. Of course, Jasmine Nix, JC Jane, and Fallon try to beat Tatum down until Gigi Dolan showed up. Game changer, and Gigi is now on the side of Tatum Paxley. Oh my goodness. What on earth? Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. I saw this coming from a mile away. And I know you're going to ask me, how did you see it coming from a mile away?
The vignette from earlier in the night?
Yeah, earlier in the night, they showed Tatum Paxley playing with her dolls. JC Jane and Jasmine Nix walked in on her, interrupted her, bullied her. And Tatum said something that caught my ear. Your past is coming, and I believe it was in reference to JC Jane. Your past is going to haunt you. And then she dropped the doll, and there was a doll with red hair. I'm like, past is coming back to haunt you, red hair, Gigi's coming back. Boom, light bulb went off instantly in my mind. I didn't say anything in the chat because I wanted it to be a surprise for you guys. I didn't want to spoil it for you guys.
I had to openly admit it. Once I saw the red hair,
yes,
that was the thing that kind of triggered it. I'm like, wait a minute, Gigi? No,
like, Gigi's coming.
You couldn't.
Gigi. Yes, because
Gigi. Because I didn't hear anything about her coming back or anything like that. There was no report about her being in Orlando all day.
Not today, but Gigi recently returned at a live event.
Yes, I did hear about that. I didn't know that. I thought they were still going to keep her off TV.
Oh no, not today. I mean, they definitely kept that under wraps and did a good job of doing so. It's not often that they get away with keeping things under wraps, but this is one of those rare times that they did.
Now,
even though
yeah,
also,
because you know nowadays with the way social media is, forget it.
oh, spoiler crazy.
Spoiler galore.
Yes, and it wasn't just the red hair, but it was also when Tatum said your past is going to come back to haunt you. Gigi Dolan is a big part of her past.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic attraction. So, man alive. But 3.25 stars. I was gonna give it 3.5, but I'm gonna bump it down to 3.25. Finish was a little clunky, but for me, I would say third best fight of the night, only behind the Julia and Kalani, and of course that opener with Ethan Page and Axiom. But by keeping interference to a minimum, this match shined on a night of strong action. Fallon Henley and Tatum Paxley worked with chemistry, allowing the challenger to truly look dangerous. Down the stretch, this got dramatic, teasing ever so briefly a major upset. And I even thought that Gigi was going to end up costing Fallon the title, but no, that didn't happen. It was not to be for now. Pairing up a returning Gigi Dolan with Tatum Paxley is a smart play. The two can elevate each other, and this pairing might be the missing piece to Tatum Paxley eventually winning championship gold. It helps that Gigi Dolan and JC Jane have history to explore, though the two were always better partners than opponents as part of Toxic Attraction. And like I said earlier, JC Jane and Jasmine Nix mocked Tatum Paxley backstage, saying she would never be a champion. In the chaos, a mystery woman picked up one of Paxley's dolls, and it was the one with the red hair. And like I said, when I saw that red hair doll combined with Tatum saying your past is going to come back to haunt you, that's when I personally knew Gigi Dolan was coming back tonight. And I thought that she was going to cost Fallon the title. I thought that Tatum was going to win the title, especially with it being in the main event. But no, in a way, I'm good with the outcome. I mean, Fallon recently won the title, so I think she needs to run with it a little bit, just like they gave Kalani a decent run with it when she first won it. So I think Fallon will hold it a little bit longer, but it could be Tatum that dethrones her, or maybe it could even be Gigi that dethrones her. I think it will be one of those two. So that's just how I feel, because the big three, whoever comes out of that Iron Survivor, I believe is gonna dethrone Roxanne Perez. So 3.25, third best fight of the night. So Emmett, did you give your thought, or did I start this?
You started it, but I have to say, I also admit I think it was a very good show. Really nothing more to say, and yeah, really nothing more to add. So let's just move right on along. So overall review, I thought it was a solid show. I thought it was a 7 out of 10 more than anything else, and I got nothing more to add here. So Anthony Florio, 7 out of 10 for me, and what says you?
I'm leaning a little more towards 7.5 out of 10. NXT is made the most of November, or has made the most of November, particularly relying upon the series of Iron Survivor Challenge qualifiers to elevate the product. Tonight benefited especially from the two best qualifiers yet. Both Ethan Page versus Axiom and Julia versus Kalani Jordan were fantastic. The main event between Fallon Henley and Tatum Paxley for the Women's North American Championship also delivered to round out the show, complete with plenty of interesting backstage story segments along the way. Deadline looks as strong as any NXT PLE in 2024. And given the past quality for Iron Survivor challenges, it might just be NXT's show of the year. And it could give Heatwave a run for its money, because we all remember how damn good Heatwave was back in July. One small nitpick is that NXT backloaded the final bill to Deadline, setting up the last show to finalize 3 separate matches for the PLE. And this all could have been better paced. Still, this was as consistent an NXT episode as the company has delivered since the move over to the CW. Good wrestling and consistent storyline development, progression, whatever you want to call it, is a winning combination. So I'm actually going to give this an excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me. So very good show. So there isn't anything else left to say except MF. It's now time to preview one of the biggest events of the year, the final big event of the year for WWE, a tradition that is on the verge or a couple of years away from celebrating 40 years worth. Right now, this is number 38. This is the 38th installment of this great event. And this is an event that I have always had a fondness for. It's my personal favorite pay-per-view event of the year outside of Mania and the Rumble. But, man, there isn't anything else left to say except War Games!
It is indeed the War Games. It is Survivor Series. And here we go. We're going to start it off. 5 matches on the fight card. 2 of them getting announced last night. And the other 3 we already knew well ahead of time. First off, War Games match first match of the evening. LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This was one of the matches that got announced last night for the United States Heavyweight Championship. I think it's going to be LA Knight. I just don't feel like Nakamura coming back. I don't feel like LA Knight should lose the title. Not yet. Now, would it be awesome if Nakamura wins this? Absolutely. I am a big Nakamura fan. You already know that. But I think right now, in the grand scheme of things, you got to give the win to LA Knight and let him keep the the United States Heavyweight Championship just for a little while longer. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
This is a little bit tough for me, to be honest. This could literally go either way. It really can. And I mean, you make a great case for LA Knight to hold on to it a little bit longer. I suppose I could go with that for right now. But the thing is, for me, I would not at all be surprised if Nakamura were to win the championship here. He is a former champion in his own right. Now, Nakamura was off screen from April until mid-November, shows up, attacks LA Knight, and 2 episodes later, he's got a title shot. You can't say they really tried super hard, but I think we can bypass that. I don't know about the chemistry these two will have. I don't think they've ever met before. I can't recall them having any matches together.
No, I think this is a first time ever.
I am hopeful that the match is good, but in terms of overall impact, it's shaping up to be the least impactful, even though I don't think it's going to be anything remotely bad at all. But I'll take the chance with UMF. I will say the winner and still the United States Heavyweight Champion, with everybody saying LA Knight. Yeah. So not much more to say. Let's move on to our next match.
Next one for the Intercontinental Championship. The champion, Braun Breaker, Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser in a triple threat. Florio, it's yours.
This has been a slow burn of a feud, or more so. It's been stretched out for a long while without being too much at the forefront to be annoying. And it's worth having a triple threat to settle all the scores in one shot. I'm sure it's going to get swallowed up on this card, but it will be a fun match. Braun Breaker should not drop the title unless there are other plans for him for WrestleMania, like maybe fighting Gunther. But I'm not only assuming that's not going to happen, but I'll back it up and say it shouldn't happen right now either. Let Breaker have a good run with this title, defend it at Mania, drop it at some point post-Mania in 25, and work his way up to a main event title shot, more so for 26. I mean, me personally, I would love to see Sheamus get his moment here, because this is the only title that has eluded Sheamus. Sheamus has won every single accolade there is to win. He's been the WWE and World Heavyweight Champion, US Champion, Tag Champion, won a Royal Rumble, won a King of the Ring, won a Money in the Bank, successfully cashed that Money in the Bank in, at this very event back in 2015. And of course, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship is the last piece missing to his Hall of Fame puzzle. But he's going to be in regardless. So, but for right now, I got to go with Braun Breaker. So, winner and still Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Braun Breaker. MF, what says you?
I cannot disagree with that. I think Braun's going to win it. I think it's going to be a very good matchup. I really got nothing more to add on this one, Anthony. So we're just going to move right on along. All right. So the first match we're going to do is the Women's War Games match. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and we'll reveal the fifth one. It's Bailey, and they're going up against Judgment Day members, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, the women's the WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Now, Team Ripley does have the power play. They get the one woman advantage in that match. I honestly think once this is all said and done, Rhea Ripley's team's gonna win it. I just don't see them losing this matchup. I just don't see it going in a way where they lose it here. So I'm gonna go with Rhea to win it. How's it gonna play out? I don't know. That's the main thing more than anything else. I don't know how this is gonna end, but I do got Rhea Ripley's squad winning the Survivor Series or winning the War Games matchup. And Anthony Florio, I give it to you.
Well, honestly, they didn't need to do this match, and they certainly didn't bother really setting up the two teams more than just throwing 5 of the most prominent heels and baby faces together. But whatever. In what is typically the case, as we can so often say, the match will be solid regardless of the build. Since there are no stakes, I'm going to go with UMF. Of course, I got Rhea Ripley's team winning as well. Then maybe they can use that as a means to justify giving Rhea one more shot at Liv Morgan and the Women's World Championship, and maybe this time win the title from Liv. She gets her title back, and then we can all move on from this feud. So if that is the ultimate end game, with Rhea eventually getting the title back, her team winning this War Games match would be a perfect first step in that direction. The next step would obviously be, I believe, Rhea Ripley becoming the first ever 2-time winner of the Women's Royal Rumble match and winning it for the second time in 3 years. And then goes to WrestleMania. She makes her choice. She goes after Liv. And then at Vegas, either Saturday or Sunday, regardless of what night it is, that is when Mommy will finally get back her Women's World Championship. So, and it will end a year-long chase. It'll be just over a year, just a smidge over a year since Liv took her out on Raw the night after WrestleMania. So with all that, the winners of the Women's War Games match, Team Rhea Ripley. Let's move on.
For the heavyweight championship of the world, Gunther goes one-on-one with Damian Priest. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Easiest match to call here. I'll get to who that is in a moment. It took them a while to come back to this, and I'm surprised they did. There are a few other contenders lined up for Gunther that could have fit this bill under other scenarios, such as Seth freaking Rollins, CM Punk, especially after he beat Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. And maybe eventually, I hate to say it, dare I say, Bill Goldberg after the interaction they had at Bad Blood, Gunther and him. Or maybe even Braun Breaker eventually. But for now, this will be on the undercard. It'll serve its purpose. Damian Priest will come up short, and Gunther will move on, while Priest will, I don't know, actually what he'll do, past just competing in the Royal Rumble. I feel like maybe he and Braun Breaker could have an Intercontinental program for WrestleMania. I don't know. Because Damian Priest has never been a Intercontinental champion, and that would complete his Grand Slam because he's already got He's already won the World Heavyweight Championship. He's already been a U.S. champion, and he's also been a tag team champion. So that's what it would do for Damian Priest. But that's just fantasy booking for right now. But easiest match to call, like I said, winner and still the heavyweight champion of the world, the Ring General Gunther. What says UMF?
Total agreement. I got no arguments on this one. Gunther successfully defends the heavyweight championship of the world. I just don't see any other way that this match does not end with Gunther walking away with the gold here. I'm totally in an agreement with you on this one, Florio, and I really got nothing more to add. So yes, I totally agree. Winner and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Gunther. And now it leads us to the main event of the evening, which is the men's War Games match. Team Bloodline versus the OTC Bloodline. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk goes up against Jacob Fatu, the Gorillas of Destiny, Solo Sikoa, and Bronson Reed. Man, all right. I want to say Roman's team wins this, but just based on storyline purposes, I could see Solo's team win this War Games. I think there's more what meets the eye here, guys. I think we might get a swerve. I don't know. I just feel like it. I don't know. I just feel like something's gonna happen here that's gonna come out of right field. But I'm going to go with Roman's Bloodline to win it all. I really got nothing more to add. So, Anthony Florio, it's yours.
I got to be honest, MF. As much as I respect CM Punk and Bronson Reed, this would be so much better if this was just 4-on-4. I don't know why they threw in Big Bronson Reed, let alone why he's there opposite CM Punk of all people. I did not like the idea of Seth Rollins in it, but at least he made sense to be against Reed. If the whole thing was just to have CM Punk and not for it to be Reed and Rollins, then why is Reed there instead of someone else? Like, how they've been sitting on Hikuleo forever. They should have just done 4-on-4. I'm convinced of it. But nevertheless, the lineup of these guys show that this has a good chance of being a great match. There's going to be a lull in there when Tonga Loa comes in and when everyone is waiting for the big guns, but by the time it's 5-on-5, people are going to have fun. But that's just a personal opinion. Professionally, it's amazing. This is going to be a great War Games match. And remember, CM Punk. Remember what CM Punk said when we went to that SmackDown last year in Providence on Bullock's birthday, the tribute to the troops. CM Punk said to Roman Reigns, "I acknowledge you as the tribal chief. But remember, I'm the original Paul Heyman guy."
Yes, he was.
And then Paul Heyman asked CM Punk asked a favor of CM Punk back in April. And I think this was the favor. So several months worth of long-term booking, which has been the moneymaker of the Triple H era. So, but nonetheless, this is going to be a fun match. I think Roman's Bloodline is due a win here, especially after Solo's Bloodline got the first big win back at Crown Jewel in that 6-man tag. So normally 9 times out of 10, the baby faces usually win the War Games match. It's not often the heels win it, but I know 2 years ago, Roman's the original Bloodline did win 2 years ago when they were heels. But I think Roman's Bloodline as baby faces this time gets the win. And don't be surprised if Seth freaking Rollins ends up getting involved afterwards and going after CM Punk, and that could kickstart the long-awaited WrestleMania program that those two are supposed to have this year for the World Heavyweight Championship. And it honestly does not need the title here. It doesn't. So, but for right now, the winners of the men's War Games match, the original Bloodline of Roman Reigns and company. So I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun, this event. we're all going to be tuned in Saturday night at 6 p.m. Rogers Arena, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, home of the Canucks. Nothing more left to say except take us home, MF, and let's set up that future content.
All right. And with that said, we are out of here. Tomorrow night is a very special edition of TXN Sports World. It is the traditional football feast. We get crazy. 10:30 on this channel. Anthony Floyo hosts it. We got the 3 Thanksgiving games. We got the Black Friday game for the NFL. And we got so many college football games to cover because this is it. Rivalry week, the big week, Iron Bowl, the game, Michigan, Ohio State. That goes down. So many other battles that we got. This is what you want to see. This is the only place that you're going to get the top-notch level. Friday night on Black Friday, come on back. We got the NFL for you. We will be covering the NFL. We will be doing basically the recap of all those games, including the Black Friday game. And then we're going to go right into it. And then Saturday, depending on how late this ends, for Survivor Series, we might come on to do Cerebral Smack Talk. That would be the recap of the Survivor Series. And I believe, there was an MLW show that I need to get my hands on. So we'll talk about that. And then Monday, we do it all over again. Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio, Monday Night Raw. He's got a special Tony's Take because there is a TNA special that does go down this week. He'll be recapping that as well. And then we will set everything up the next week. On top of that, we also got a preview of Deadline we got to do. So we got a lot to cover in the next few weeks. So until then, for Anthony Floyo, I am Michael Fletcher. So long, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Goodbye.